Using Umbrella's business mapping, we can create advanced reports for both chargeback and showback of costs. We can even use it for advanced analytics of cost allocation. For instance, if I have to allocate different types of costs to different projects or customers or departments, you can think of it as a kind of a very, very advanced level of tagging. So to create a business mapping is very simple. We simply go to our cost allocation section in the main menu and choose business mapping. We then create our first viewpoint, and this viewpoint will be mapped to the entire AWS, Azure, or GCP account that we are currently under. It could also be a multi-cloud viewpoint, which means that we can actually look at resources across Azure, GCP, and AWS simultaneously and create business mappings across all three clouds at the same time. So for this example, we'll take projects, we'll create the viewpoint, and we'll now create our mappings for the viewpoint. So we edit it and create our mappings. So the first mapping will be project 1, and we're going to choose the conditions with which we're going to map the resources back to project 1. As you can see, we can use different kinds of filters and dimensions. We can use availability zones, family types, linked accounts, or if it was Azure, it would be subscriptions, obviously. We can even see the actual resource name if we want, or region. And in this case, to make it simple for the demo, we'll choose service. And we're going to say if the service is Redshift, then please apply everything that is Redshift to project 1. So by choosing is Redshift, we're now allocating all the Redshift costs to project 1. We'll save that, and as we go back, we'll see pretty much on the fly within 3 seconds that the cost is allocated, and we can see project 1. We can see the cost for the past month, and that it's 47% of our entire account. Now we'll add another one. We'll call it project 2. And again, we're going to choose the conditions for the mapping. We'll take again service. And as you can see, we don't just have the option for is, we also have is not, and we can be very flexible and do contains or starts with as well. So in this case, just to reverse it, I'm going to do is not Redshift. So everything that is not Redshift will now be associated with project 2. Save that, and we're going to see pretty much on the fly, we can now see that we have project 1 and project 2, and we have 100% coverage with a 53% and a 47% ratio. Now, one final thing you might want to do here is you might have a shared cost that needs to be shared between both departments, both projects. So we're going to add that as well. In this case, it could be support, so we're going to call it shared support. In AWS, support is listed as a service, so we're going to choose service is support, and we're going to say split the cost. So we split the cost. It's going to ask us who to split it between. So if we have 4 or 5 projects, we can choose all 5 or just certain projects that have to pay for that split. And we choose how to split the cost. So an equal split will be 50-50. A ratio will be based on how much they have on spend. We saw before 47 and 53%. So we'll use that same ratio of 47 and 53 for this as well. Or custom, where we're going to say exactly how much each one pays. So I'm going to do 20% for project 1 and 80% for project 2. Save it, move it to the top of the list because we have a ranking of how we process the shares. And you'll see as I go back, the numbers would update. And it's now reflected within the numbers here, the shared cost of the support as well. Now, what can we do with this? We can do quite a few things. We can go back to the Cost Explorer, which is the heart of the system, and we can say, hey, I want to see which resources are being used by project 2. So I simply open up our filter, go to the business mapping. We can now see we have the business mapping for project that we just created, and I can select project 2, apply, and I can now see the exact resources and the cost associated with those resources being consumed by project 2. Now, even though we only just created it today, I actually have historical data, so we can go back to March, for instance. Let's see, March to May, and you'll see that we even have everything already calculated for the historical data as well, mapping the usage back to the project level. We can even look at that in a nice monthly view. let's just say from January all the way up to May, hit apply, and now we can see exactly how much money is being consumed every month for project 2. And we can look at our views, even adding a trend line, so we can see the exact costs and if they're going up or going down per month. This could very simply be saved as a report, and we could send this report out to the project 2 team. They could get this report in email or in Teams or in Slack. It could be sent to them weekly or monthly or any selection that we prefer. And we could even give them a year of data, 3 months of data, 6 months of data, depending on their requirements. The second thing we might want to do, and this is a very common scenario, is to do a chargeback where we say, hey, we need to now charge these departments for their usage. So we would simply go to the grouping, and now we would group by business mapping. So we choose to group it by projects. We hit apply, and now we can see the ratio of usage between project 1 and project 2, one in red and one in purple. So obviously we prefer to see that in a monthly view. Again, we'll do January to May. Hit apply. You can see we already have all the information pretty much on the fly available to us. And again, we can change our trend lines or views to whatever makes more sense to us, our requirements. Probably if I want to do a chargeback, I would probably change it to a table, and we get a nice table summary showing us exactly how much money was consumed by project 1 for January, project 1 for February, project 2 for January, project 2 for February, and so forth. And again, simply a case of saving this as a report and having that report sent out to a finance team or an operations team to do an internal chargeback. And of course, we can add all of this to our custom dashboards as well that can be accessed by team members. The final and very most important thing, or another important thing that we can do with business mapping is budgeting. So if we go to our budget and create a new budget, you'll see that as I create the budget, I can call the budget project 2. And now it's simply a case of going to our filters, to the business mapping, choosing projects and choosing project 2. And I can now create a budget which will be exactly aligned with the resources and with the costs associated just with project 2. So that's the main usage of our business mapping. Very, very advanced capabilities for both budgeting and forecasting, and also for chargeback and showback.